Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 5 of the Curtis Robertson Show. I am the throwback Curtis Robertson, and I'm excited to be speaking with you again. 5 episodes into this little experiment here, and you're joining me. Happy to have you whenever you're listening to this. This is scheduled to come out on Thursdays at noon. So please tell your friends, tell your enemies, like, subscribe, comment. I'm getting some comments. I'm getting some feedback. The feedback that I got last week was don't dress like you're about to cancel my PTO. Well, that that's good feedback. I was doing something else where I had to wear a button-up shirt, and I didn't feel like doing a wardrobe change for a podcast that some people may only listen to and not watch, others may watch, and we're getting 30 viewers a week right now. So yeah, I'm not changing my clothes for you. I did have a casualty last week. If you see here, I've got the Bose Quiet Comforts on now. My old headsets, I had those for 3 or 4 years, and the glue on the cups just came off, and I'm not gonna go through fixing all that. My dad used to do that. He'd get replacement cups and take care of all that stuff and refurbish them. He loved headsets though, but I don't care enough to. I'll just buy a new one. Same thing happens to me when that oil light comes on in my car. I just buy a new car. So I get out of it, leave it where it's at, and order a helicopter or something like that to the CarMax, and then I get a new car. But I only get new cars from CarMax. That's tricky. Anyway, so updates on Crash Out 2025. We talked about that last week. We had comments and screenshots here that we shared from Facebook posts from local independent wrestler Nick Fury against the promotion of Explosive Pro Wrestling, and counter comments, counter Crash Out from the person he was talking about, Dusty Money. They both promised to do some type of recordings or broadcast here with dishing dirt on each other, and absolutely, positively, nothing came of it. Nothing happened. So nothing to report. I'm kind of glad to hear that. Maybe, hopefully, it ends there. We can focus on the wrestling and the shows in the area, and not have folks fighting back and forth. We'll talk more about beefs and squabbles later. I just wanted to give you an update on that. Nothing happened. Everybody's selling wolf tickets. Um, Moving on. Last week, a rough week for me. Eli Manning, which I'm wearing a rocking an Eli Manning jersey now, didn't get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. So that's a joke museum now. That's a joke organization. Um, yeah, they may as well be, you know, run by the same guys that run CNN. Completely useless uh, organization now, where you've got a guy that has the following here. So off the top of my head, so he played 236 consecutive games, didn't miss a snap. So he's Cal Ripken. When he retired, seventh or so in touchdowns, yards, and completions. Threw for almost 60,000 yards in his career, which is what Dan Marino retired at, by the way. Um, Two Super Bowl championships, two-time world champion, two Super Bowl MVPs, has the most passing yards in any single postseason in NFL history. That's not enough to get you in. I don't know what is. Nobody should be in the Hall of Fame. Then close the whole thing down. Stupidest thing I've ever heard. What a joke! It's almost as big a joke as these guys in the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, where my favorite guy from 100 years ago didn't get in unanimous, so we'll make sure that nobody else gets in unanimous, even though it's obvious this person's a Hall of Famer. Just just should be ashamed. Should be ashamed of themselves. I can't. I was beside myself when I heard that. Very dumb. Um, you know, back in 2004, I want to say 2003, 2004. I don't know what year it was. I'm in a freshman in college. I'm at University of Albany at the time, and my work study assignment was in the facilities, sports facilities. So I got to work the Giants' off-season training camp the year that Eli Manning was a rookie. Super nice guy then. We were about the same age, right? He's a couple years older than me. He just finished up college. I was just starting. Kurt Warner, super nice guy, was there. Then Ike Hilliard, super nice guy. That's another thing to think about too. This guy threw for 60,000 yards, and most of his career was Ike Hilliard and Amari Toomer. I dare you. I dare you to do that. Good luck. Good luck. Unbelievable. Um, Here you got nobody to throw for a million yards. And he suffers from little brother syndrome too. If his name is Eli Smith, we're not talking about this. He's a Hall of Famer, and it's not a problem. Um, he's getting compared to Peyton, and Peyton's otherworldly. I'm the youngest in my family, but I'm the only pro athlete, so I don't have to worry about such comparisons here. But really, really, really shameful. Shame on you, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Shame, shame, shame. So let's move on to the Super Bowl after that. Surprising outcome. I did not expect the game to be that one sided. Um, Complete one sided affair. Happy for Saquon Barkley. Um, Giants GM, Joe Schoen, is that his name? Am I saying that right? I don't know. Probably the worst executive in sports. I mean, I don't know what's worse. Time will tell. Um, Trading Luka Doncic for a bag of magic beads and Anthony Davis, or this letting Saquon Barkley go and getting nothing for him at all, so you can like sign a guard, and then he only goes on to have the most yards in the history of football for a season and win a championship. I guess he won't go in the Hall of Fame either now. This dominant performance, you jokers. Um, yeah, so the Giants GM should get a ring from the Eagles for making this happen. Big assist to him. Again, another joke organization. Think about that too. Think about that. After Bill Parcells leaves, a rudderless organization for almost the whole time. Coughlin gets there and is able to, impose some type of discipline and order on there, and they have some success, but otherwise, not really. Um, we're not going to talk about the Kerry Collins years. So yeah, this just a bummer of a thing if you're a Giants fan here or a football fan. If you're a football fan, that wasn't a fun game. Um, Very one sided. So that wasn't great. Then you go on to the halftime show. Before I go on to that, I had and there are people in your life that are like this, that are just always unhappy and can find the negative in anything. I'm getting messages from one friend during the pregame. Oh, I hate this rendition of America the Beautiful or God Bless America, whatever they played. Um, and I don't like the national anthem here. Why does everything doesn't have to be New Orleans? When I was a kid, okay, pay attention. This is important. It may be different now. It should be easier because a lot of the people now may not have this experience. But when I was a kid, if I was watching something on television and I didn't like it, I switched the station. Does that make sense? Am I getting through here? Does that make sense? I don't like what I'm seeing here. What else is on the television? How hard is that? Um, Most people that I know don't tune in for the pregame coverage or the the ceremonial stuff before the game. I mean, if you're a degenerate gambler, you may have prop bets on the coin toss, and you tune in for that. But otherwise, you're kind of either there for the game, or you're there for the commercials, or you're there for both, or the halftime show. So every once in a while, if you might have a prop bet on how long the national anthem's going to go if you've got a really good singer that's advertised. But it's not an essential activity to watch the plane fly over the stadium, which I'm always amazed by that because the coordination that it takes for the show there, like, the person's going to be done singing right about now. We rehearsed how long that's going to take, so you know when to fly over. That's all amazing to me. But I enjoyed all the shows, all the performances. Um, I thought the tributes to the uh, victims of the terrorist attack were had the appropriate tone and the appropriate feel. That was great. I thought the songs beforehand were great. And if I didn't like it, I would switch the channel, right? Or go on. Now you can just go on your phone and do something until it's time to watch the game. Everything doesn't require a complaint or an opinion. And I know that's funny because I'm doing a podcast here, but I try to keep things more on the positive side. If you don't like something, it's okay to keep it to yourself. It's not a big deal. It's the guy's not going to stop singing because you don't like it, right? They're not going to book him again next year because it's not New Orleans next year. So nothing will come of this complaint except for wasting my time. So that's one you can keep to yourself. Just couldn't wrap my head around that. That level of complaint. It's the same thing you'll hear from wrestling fans. I don't like this or I don't like that. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Switch the channel. Oh, I hate people that don't like Nia Jax for whatever reason. Oh, I can't stand her. Switch the station if you don't like it. Big deal, right? And I know some things are streaming now. It's not a station. If it's streaming, it's even better. You can curate your own station. There's 50,000 programs on here. If you don't like this one, click on another one. It'll have recommendations for you. You'll like one of them. I promise. If you don't like it, go take a walk. Go fly a kite. Go play in traffic. Take a long walk off a short pier. Okay? Take a hike. Those are all things that my dad used to say to me. Long walk off a short pier is my favorite one. So the halftime show, again, same thing. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people sharing their opinions. I enjoyed it. On the surface level, it was a great and fun performance. If you get into the symbolism, that's great too. You really got to pay attention to that stuff or get somebody to break it down for you for some things. Because even if you notice some stuff, there's other stuff that you'll miss. And I will say that it takes an extraordinary talent to be able to pull off the level of the symbolism and social commentary and have a message in something and still have it be entertaining at the same time. There are people that can be preachy or have a point and express that point. There are people that can be entertaining. It's very rare and very special if you can do both at the same time. And tip of the cap for that. Really great. I thought it was great. Again, for the folks that didn't like it or I don't like rap music or whatever, switch the station. When I was a kid, again, I'm dating myself here, they used to have like programming to compete with the halftime show. That's how we used to handle this. Because you weren't going to compete with the game. Almost everybody was watching the game. On all the other broadcast stations, there would actually be paid programming during that time. You know, the stuff that you'll see 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're selling you knives or a solution that gets out every stain or the clapper or whatever, right? So those late night blocks that they can't sell advertising for, they'll sell to someone who wants to advertise something. You'll have infomercials. Well, during the Super Bowl that weekend on that Sunday, all of the broadcast stations wouldn't show their normal reruns of programming because the Super Bowl was such a dominant event, and the pre games and the lead up to it, those 4, 5, 6 hours before, everyone that didn't have it just kind of gave up for that day, threw the towel in, and the way they would monetize those hours is, hey, sell your ShamWow because you're not going to get reruns of Gilligan's Island or MASH or Living Single or whatever would be playing in that time slot. Um, Other live events you wouldn't usually try to go up against it either, so you wouldn't have, maybe you have college basketball on CBS in the daytime or something like that, but that'd be about it. There's nothing else going on. It's the only game in town, except for the halftime show. On the halftime show, you would have stations, some broadcast stations, and sometimes cable stations would try to compete. Oh, we're going to have a special episode of The Simpsons at halftime, right? We're going to have a celebrity death match at halftime, right? We've got our own halftime show. So if you don't like this halftime show, you can switch the station. And that's what people would do. I would switch the station sometimes, right? Well, okay, well, I didn't switch it on Tom Petty because the Giants were playing. And that was great. I love Tom Petty now. Woo! Running down a dream, whatever. But if there was an act I didn't like or I didn't care for, I would just switch the station. I wouldn't complain about it and bemoan it forever. What are you complaining about? Stop complaining so much about everything. Jeez Louise. So that's the halftime show. So then, I didn't talk about Cooper DeJean. He got an interception in the Super Bowl on his birthday, scored a touchdown, won the Super Bowl as a rookie in the NFL. He probably won't have another birthday better than that for the rest of his life. Best birthday. Imagine 10 years from now, 12 years, 15 years from now, he's retired from football, his birthday's coming up, and his buddies are like, hey, Cooper, what do you want to do for your birthday? Well, I can't score a pick six off Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, so I guess we'll go to the Cheesecake Factory. Yeah, every birthday after this is going to be a downer. It's going to be very hard to top. Very cool. Congratulations to him, too. Good for him. Last thing I had this week was I saw a post after the halftime show from Reno Royce, really good independent wrestler in the Carolinas area. And his post was, the thrust of it was, hey, get your beefs out of the group messages or group message chats and call out the people you don't like by name, and you can make some money. And I agree with the sentiment of what he's saying, but not who he's aiming it at. Because a part of the reason that the J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Drake thing worked is that you had talented people with an axe to grind with one another. Okay? And that was a blowout too. It ended up being a one-sided affair. But you had talented belligerents that were able to fight against one another. A lot of this group chat hate that goes on is between guys that can't hold up their end on the microphone or in the ring. So you could try it. You could try to call people out by name in the independent wrestling scene. And sometimes it'll work. But you got to have people that can hold it up. I remember one that was actually, it wasn't a squabble. It was, the whole thing was just working. Rayhan and Chase Emery a year or two ago, they had some pointed comments back and forth, and that became a hot match at Action Pack Wrestling in Chester, and that was good. But for every one of those, there's a whole lot of other ones that don't live up to that standard or any standard. So agree with the sentiment 100%. Very doubtful on the execution. Well, that's everything I kind of wanted to talk about this week. We're going to be making some improvements here, keep giving feedback. Share, like, and subscribe. Like I said here, make comments. I read all of them because there's only one or two right now. The 30 or so folks that are listening to this, pretty loyal. You're listening to all of them here. You got to have more than one friend that likes wrestling or pop culture or current events or anything. Um, so share it with them. If I'm the only person that you know, I guess you can't share it back with me. That won't help. So I'll give you one more thing before I go. It's kind of a spoiler. So I was doing. We had a match this weekend here. If you saw on, if you watched NAWA this week on the Carolina Historic Wrestling Archive, you will see that myself and Mike Vaughn won the NAWA Tag Team Championships. That's hanging behind me on the wall over there. That one. There you go. That tag team title next to it, I was awarded for losing a singles match. I don't know if I told that story already. If not, I'll tell it again next week. But this one, okay, you would have saw the victory on Saturday, NAWA or on High Spots TV. So I defended that title with Mike Vaughn this on Saturday as well on a show that will air later, and I was talking about our opponents. Thomas Extreme, great wrestler, great guy, and Dusty Money, and I had a line in my interview here. I'll share it with you now, but the reason I'm sharing it with you is because of what happened to me afterwards that night. But the next morning, Sunday morning, I woke up screaming in cold sweats. You ever think of the right thing to say too late? Well, if you haven't, happened to me. So I went through it for you, so you don't have to. So the thrust of my promo was, the comment was, "Hey, it was a riddle. What's got 4 feet and 3 teeth?" You think about that for a second while I have some of that. And the answer was with Dusty Money and Thomas Extreme. And that's a great line. That's funny. I can tell that joke 100 times, and it'll be funny 100 times. I spoiled it for you. When the show comes out and you watch it, you will laugh again because it's hilarious. Okay? All right? It's the funniest thing. When people hear it, they'll cheer. All right? They'll cheer and applaud. Awesome. They'll say it's awesome. Right? They'll laugh. Just like that, right? But the problem was, I didn't have a follow-up. I thought of the tag later. And what I should have said, or what Mike should have said if we were thinking, the things left unsaid, right? The tooth hurts. That would have been great. The tooth hurts. Tooth hurts. Every time. So, I'll leave you with that. Sometimes you don't think of the right thing to say until it's too late, and that's okay. You can always try again next time. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week, and every Thursday at noon on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever else you get podcasts. Thanks for listening. Peace out. We're just stop recording, but I'm out of here.